Can we segue into a question here, actually, from the YouTube community?
Yeah.
Because you put out a thing today, which was, if you've got any questions, let us know. We'll answer it in the show. There's been quite a few now. Someone's put, John Hales has put, "Hi guys, loving the podcast. My question is, if you could watch one film that you've already seen, but have it erased from your memory, so it's like seeing it for the first time, what would it be?" But I had to add on to that. We'd have to be the age we were when we initially saw it, right? Yeah, no, it wouldn't work, would it?
I think so.
So what would yours be? You see one film again, and it can't be Shrek Forever After.
But why?
What would it be?
Mine would be a toss-up between... it's a difficult one. I think it would either be Schindler's List, dark and heavy.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite movies of all time. Jurassic Park, again from the same director. But I can only remember watching Jurassic Park 3 in the cinema and the feeling that I felt then. So maybe Jurassic Park 3, even though it's not the classic, it's actually probably the weakest one of them, of all three. And then potentially Interstellar. But also, because I remember me and you in the cinema.
I can't actually watch Interstellar again. It got me too much.
I remember being in the cinema with you, watching Interstellar, and when he comes back and he's like, "It's been 29 years," me and you turned to each other like, "What the fuck?" So I really enjoyed that moment. There's so many. My earliest, one of my earliest memories of being at the cinema was when my dad woke me and my brother up at midnight on a school night to go and see Attack of the Clones at the midnight release.
And Yoda comes out.
And I remember the crowd cheering. But
you're like, when you're young like that, man, my one that I could never top, ever, it doesn't matter what film comes out, was, because I was a kid, was that the Rohirrim charge in The Return of the King, like that moment, man, where they're charging down to like Minas Tirith, and he does that speech and he's clanging all the swords, like...
Yeah, I went to see
the feeling that you feel when you see that.
Yeah, I went to the cinema to see that with my whole family, including my grandparents, and it was my
when I was
young.
That's what it was, and this was back when in our cinema you pay for seats now and you get that seat, but you had to be there early to queue up. Didn't you?
Yeah.
To queue up, and the queue would go out, and
you would have to try and find a seat because there was no bookings. And my dad still says to this day, he's like, because he paid for everyone. He said it came to like, with food and drinks, and he said it came to like nearly like 300 quid. 300 quid, like over 200 quid. But yeah, so yours would be Lord of the Rings.
Mine would be that, yeah. But I've had great experiences watching films by myself at home. Like, there was a film called Silence with Martin Scorsese. I think I've mentioned it before. A film called The Way Back that I really had a great experience watching. Yeah. There's too many to think of. I'm trying to think of...
I think for Lord of the Rings, I think there are certain films where I've appreciated over time.
One film that I really felt that we watched on the channel, which I gave 10 out of 10 to, was 1917, right? Yeah. Because it wasn't the entire film, but it was the climactic moment where he runs over the trenches, and because the film's like one shot, it's been building up.
Yeah, you feel this emotion.
I actually felt my heart pumping for the film.
Yeah.
Like there's moments like that.
There are so many. Comment down below what film you would want to see.
Yeah. Have you got another question?
Yeah, I can pick a question.
What about this one here?
Go on then.
How much experience do you have watching international films, like Bergman and classic directors like Bergman, Kurosawa, Fellini?
So Bergman, I know he did The Seventh Seal, which one of my favourite movies.
We did a playlist, didn't we, that we reacted to? I think we called it Foreign Directors.
It's just foreign
language films. And we watched Bergman's The Seventh Seal on there, and that was great. That was really good.
But that's the only... I don't recognise the other two directors.
We watched
Kurosawa. It wasn't that... what film was that?
Not Seven Samurai. The one that was a fistful of dollars. That
Yeah.
was taken on.
Oh, I can't remember.
That's
It's
bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really bad.
But it was a good film. My only problem was we'd already seen it, and it was called A Fistful of Dollars.
So it
Obviously,
tainted our experience.
We should have
a
watched
little bit.
Kurosawa first. I thought it
Yeah.
was good. We watched a lot of foreign horror as well, and some of them like Ju-on, The Grudge, Battle Royale. I think the Wailing. Remember that
Yeah.
one? I think foreign horror is really good, and
Yeah.
there's we need to watch a bit more of it in our own time.
Right, I've got a question.
Go on.
Zion McCrae, if you could live in any fictional film universe, what would it be?
Now it's difficult because you don't want to die, so it can't be Game of Thrones.
Star Wars, mate.
Yeah, but would you be a Force wielder, or would you be like a Gungan?
I would
like
be
Jar Jar Binks. Like, do you have a choice of who you are in this film universe?
I would obviously be one of the bears in Endor Forest. The what are they called? The
the Ewoks.
The Ewoks. Yeah, I'd be an Ewok.
Yeah, you would be. You are that size.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Yeah, I'd be a Sith Lord.
No, you'd be Jabba the Hutt.
I walked into that one, mate. I absolutely walked into that one. I don't know, a fictional world or universe. Maybe the Marvel universe. I feel like that'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get snapped.
Just
by
not
Thanos.
as a superhero. You're just the average folk that
Citizen
gets
that
rubble
gets saved. Yeah, or Harry Potter or something like that. Something where you've got like, lots of power over other people to do
Yeah.
good things.
Yeah.
The Force. I've always wanted the Force, man. So it'd be Star
Ooh.
Wars, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
I got another question.
Go on.
Trupexus 9097. If you could
Trupexus.
make your own film, what would it be? Genre, a small plot synopsis, era/time in which the film takes place, etc. I grant you all the money you need to produce and any actors you wish to star in the film.
That's
a
long.
that's a heavy
That
question.
can take a whole podcast in itself.
Okay, don't answer all the questions. We'll keep that question and we'll focus. We'll do that. We'll answer it in more detail next podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
But
we can.
give us a brief.
I would
what would it be?
100% start with horror, right? And we've mentioned
So easy
we
to
mentioned
do.
Robert Eggers at the beginning of, well, not the beginning, like partway through this video, and I want to do something that's historically set in that vein. Like I had a concept that I was writing a script for recently, or just playing around with writing ideas for, where it's kind of like a bottle horror thing, where I took inspiration from Evil Dead, but not as comical.
Yeah.
So it's like a possession kind of demonic thing on a ship, but like a 1950s like steamship.
Yep.
And like there's a crew on board, and different things happen to different characters, and essentially it kind of mimics like. Have you heard Dante's Inferno or Dante's like Circles of Hell?
Yeah.
Where it's constantly going around the sea. They can't get to land, but different horrific things happen at different points. That it's kind of like metaphorical. Sounds horrendously put. I couldn't put it into detail there, but I've always been intrigued with doing like not doing originals as well, but doing like adaptations of certain like literature that haven't had good film adaptations in the past.
Yeah.
Especially like I love gothic horror as well.
Yeah.
The reason why I like
Nosferatu,
but I love gothic horror. I think there's so much you can do visually and aesthetically with practical effects as well.
Yeah.
I'm guessing yours would be horror as well.
I've got 3 in mind.
Go on.
So the first
I know
one.
there was a sci-fi one that you were thinking of.
So so the first one is a prequel to an existing movie. And I told you, and it was a other film we reacted to recently, which is 30 Days of Night.
Oh yeah.
And it would be the prequel. The prequel would follow the story of the stranger that comes into the town, and his role on the ship that he escaped from, and how that ties into the story. So that would be the first one. Second one is actually probably the book that I'm writing. Is relating to a man who kills a woman and hides the body, and it's taken from his perspective, trying to avoid being discovered. But his wife is a police officer.
Yeah.
I think that whole dynamic is very interesting to me.
I love original ideas.
And then my final one would be a potential loose adaptation of a true story. I say true story because it's a conspiracy theory. So there's a guy called Bob Lazar who claims to have worked within Area 51. And he's actually,
go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
And he's got this convoluted story of him working on alien aircrafts and these like gravity pulse systems and cores, and but then his wife cheats on him, and he gets in trouble with the FBI, and they tap his his apartment and stuff. It would be loosely based around that concept. It wouldn't be the exact story, but he brings his friends and shows his friends, them testing these UFOs in flight. But I think that would be more suited towards like a mini series.
Yeah. You can play around with format.
But yeah, those are my ideas.
Because you can play around with format and scale, can't you? I'd love to do like a historical fiction as well, something set further in the past, like medieval or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so many stories that you can pull from in reality, isn't there?
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys would do. Not that we're going to Zuckerberg your ideas and make that film, but I'm always intrigued to see what makes, because it reveals a lot about the people, the story that they want to tell.
Wait, so you think I'm a murderer that would murder a girl and try and hide it?
I think you already have.
Anyway.